We've dug out our cleanest white tank tops, cracked open some energy drinks, and plotted a course for Florida. Because this, my friends, is Spaced Out Sunday. I'm your host, Everett Thiemer, and we are happy to welcome Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio to tonight's broadcast. As always, if you miss any part of the show, you can listen to our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to some Bumblefoot, checking out some really nice swag in the SOR Vault, where you can get a Team Stump t-shirt, because I know you are secretly on Team Stump, but it's time to show your pride. You can also find links to join the Space Travelers Club and so much more. Tonight's show is brought to you by CHIVE Charities. Please head on over to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, chivecharities.org, as we work to make the world 10% better. Tonight's original guest seems to have disappeared, and it didn't surprise me because it's the second time it's happened. So instead of just running a replay or opening a mic channel and letting you guys hear me try and tune a harp, I asked longtime friend of the show and Florida correspondent Kelly Eyer to come hang out with us. I have no idea where this show is going to go. I don't know where it's going to end up, but we're going to have some laughs, talk about some Florida man, and of course have a bunch of questions. Kelly, thanks so much for stepping up and hanging out with us tonight.
Hey, it's no problem, Everett. Thanks for having me on.
Now, you're a longtime listener, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm actually going on my second year right now. Actually,
Nice.
I think it's been over 2 years. Yeah, because I started listening. Yeah, because I think Spaced Out Radio is coming up on its fifth year?
Yeah, it's coming up quick, too. Dave's worked hard to get it there.
Yes, he has. He has literally kept me going through my work day.
Now, before we get into some of these topics, what got you into the paranormal and the paranormal media?
Well, when I was a kid, it was just like I never had like any ghost or UFO experiences until, well, recently. You saw the pictures. But it was Art Bell in the mid-90s. I was an insomniac and couldn't go to bed after getting home from school and doing all my homework, so I just stayed up all night listening to Art Bell. So that's where I started getting into it. And, I'm basically just one of everybody listening. I'm just a regular guy.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, and we've got a lot to talk about. And just before we went live, you brought up something that I'm honestly a little bit unfamiliar with. And this is the story of a giant down near Alton, Illinois. Is that where which would be close to St. Louis, but
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, according to Wikipedia, they call it like a suburb of St. Louis, but it's actually, about another 30 minutes outside of it. But anyways, without splitting too many hairs, yeah, there was a giant in Alton, Illinois. His name is Robert Wadlow. And he was very, very large. He basically what he had was hyperplasia of his pituitary gland. And what happens with that is that means you just grow and you do not stop. So he reached a height of 8 feet 11 inches and 439 pounds. The unfortunate thing was obviously quite unlike what you guys were trying to speak about with if there were actual giants or anything like that. He wasn't strong enough to hold all of that weight, so he would be considered like an anomaly or something.
Well, 400 pounds, that's a lot of weight.
It is. And especially, if you're just running around on very skinny legs, you're obviously, he had to walk with a cane and he had to walk with leg braces, and that's unfortunately the thing that killed him. He was only 22 years old when he passed away in 1940.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, we were talking with William Pullen and Jamie Sexton, about 2-3 weeks ago, where we got into kind of a discussion on giants. And even at that height, I don't know if that qualifies as a true giant.
I agree with you on that. I mean, like I said, the people who are talking about like giants, they're expecting them to be capable of walking around without any help, or, basically functioning like you or I could in any normal day, only giant size and with giant power. Honestly, and maybe I don't know, in my book, maybe the Bigfoot population was larger back in the day. Maybe they are, not to go too ancient alien on you, but maybe they were just a larger Bigfoot population in the past, and maybe that's what got, misunderstood as giants.
Well, the other thing, too, is when you talk about giants, I don't think of, or I'd like to think I don't think of just one anomaly out of a group of people. I tend to think of, if there were giants, there would have been multiple. Whether you want to call it a species or a race or a tribe, there would have been more than just one random person who's maybe exceeded what we consider the standard height kind of.
Oh yeah. I agree with you on that. Yeah. I just figured since we're both Illinois boys, I kind of figured that you would have heard of Robert Wadlow at some point in your life, but I guess he probably, he's probably just lost in the history books somewhere of Illinois history.
It's possible that I've run across the name. The one that I really took interest in, because I'm so close to the Wisconsin state line, or used to be so close to the Wisconsin state line, is there was a reported giant found in Delavan, Wisconsin in the 1920s. And it was the typical case of, somebody started to unearth it, state and federal archaeologists came and all of a sudden dug this thing up, and it disappeared and nobody ever saw it again. It's one of those cases where it seems like there are some inklings that it happened, but when you go and research it, every article or every news piece that you hear about it seems to be talking about it from sort of like a third-hand kind of perspective.
Right. And then that's where conspiracy theories come in, that either somebody buried all the evidence, or the more likely explanation is there was none to begin with. It's just, back then, even the newspapers back then were more like, they're trying to sell papers, so they're sensationalizing a lot of stuff.
Well,
it was more like the Globe back then or the National Enquirer, or any newspaper that you see in the checkout line at Walmart.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest and tell you that I don't really subscribe to the whole idea of giants walking the earth. And the reason I don't subscribe to it is because we haven't found all that much true evidence. There's plenty of memes out there and photos, with photoshopped images and things like that sort of show giants, but we haven't found a lot of true evidence. And I don't buy the idea that there is some sort of government cover-up over something that may have roamed the earth 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 years ago. It doesn't make sense.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree with you 100% on that. It is, even if we do find something, it could be like, the case of Robert Wadlow, where it was hyperplasia, where your pituitary gland just keeps making you grow and grow and grow. You're not going to find like an entire family like that, but eventually you're going to come across a set of bones that are substantially taller than normal people.
Right. Now,
I mean, now people do grow. I mean, I'm about 20 minutes from St. Augustine, Florida right now. And there is the Castillo de San Marcos down there. And the word for it slipped my mind, where the guards stand to shoot the rifles out, stands at about 5 feet flat. So when you're shooting a rifle, you're going to kind of bend down a little bit. So those are set up for Spanish people at an average height of 5'4", which, but right about now, everybody's average height's 6 foot, I guess, 5'10", something like that.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah. So yeah, we do grow, but in my book, there's no evidence saying that we've actually ever found like a complete tribe of giants, other than, like you said, the general meme of a picture that could have been faked or whatever. I mean, yeah, no, I agree with you.
And I guess I won't completely accept it until somebody can explain the government cover-up and why. It just doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't. No, I mean, how would a race of dead giants be a problem for national security? I don't get that.
Now, you mentioned that you're a former Illinoisan and now you're a Florida guy.
No, I still claim I'm an Illinoisan, but well, usually when I tell people that I'm from Illinois, they seem to say, "Oh, Chicago's a hell of a town." And I'm like, well, I've honestly never been there before. So the closest I've ever been was Joliet. So I just tell people I'm from St. Louis because I'm a Cardinals fan. I'm a Blues fan. So I was a Rams fan.
Ooh. If you're from St. Louis and that general area, you're kind of into and at the edge of the Corn Belt. And I was kind of looking through the news today just, because we didn't exactly know what was going to go on. And I found this story and I sent it to you. And this sounds like something either Illinoisans or Wisconsinites would do. Somebody modified a wagon to set a land speed record in Illinois. And that is so something we would do around here. And we'd probably do it drinking like Busch or Schlitz.
Or Pabst. Yeah, Schlitz. But yes, I 100% agree. It was a radio flyer. Basically, they just looks like they modified it and put it over a go-kart frame. It only did like 30 miles an hour, but once you harvest the corn and you're waiting for the winter wheat to come up, I mean, what else are you going to do? Let's make a radio flyer that can do 30 miles an hour.
It actually kind of sounds like a fun thing to do. I mean, I can see going after the world's, what did they do? They set the world's record for fastest wagon or something like that. Even at 30 miles an hour, I don't know if I'd want to ride in a wagon at 30 miles an hour.
Right. Well, I mean, he did it because of the Shriners Hospital. They use the radio flyer wagons to transport the young children, and basically all the money that he got from building this thing donated to the hospital, to the Shriners Hospital. So, I mean, even though they broke a record, it was for a good thing. It was for sick kids.
Yeah, that's true. I'd like to know how they raised money, if they took donations or had some sort of event, something like that. But, just the idea of somebody sitting in their garage and deciding to put a lawnmower engine or a go-kart engine on a wagon, that is absolutely Corn Belt Midwestern mentalities.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was Craftsman Tools that actually did it. So yeah. I mean, obviously they're not out harvesting corn; they're making tools for all the auto mechanics to fix the cars. So, but then again, they also have downtimes to slap I mean, I mean, that I would ride in that other than the couch that I've seen people on YouTube driving up and down the interstate.
Now, how long until somebody in Florida there decides they're going to challenge this and modify one of those golf carts everybody drives around in?
Oh, actually,
now that you mention
I'm
it.
surprised. Yeah, now that you mention it, Dave actually had a story, and I don't know if you remember this, but it was about a guy who modified a jet ski into a motorcycle and to ride on the road.
I kind of remember that.
I can confirm this story because I am a motorcycle rider myself. My wife has her car. I have my motorcycle. I live in Florida. I can ride year round, and I'm used to cold weather. So if it gets cold, I can still ride. I'm riding home from work, and then I see a bunch of guys coming up behind me, and all of a sudden I see a jet ski blow past me, and I'm like, I had to pull over because I had to make sure I wasn't riding my bike into the ocean.
I've seen some weird things on the road. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that.
Yeah. I remember it vividly. I think it was like last year sometime, and I told Dave I can confirm this story, but I'm like, holy cow.
and this is why you are our Florida correspondent.
Yes, I will go that far. I will not call myself Florida man, just for the simple fact because I try my best not to be on the SOR Newswire.
You know, we could spend an entire show talking about Florida man. We might as well throw some Florida man in here and there instead of like focusing on it for, you know, an entire segment of the show. But, you know, I came across, and I think I've come across it before, the website, floridaman.com.
Yeah.
And
that's a very good, let's say, avenue to gain Florida man stories. Not to like put a downer on it, but the only reason why we keep hearing these weird stories from Florida has this law called the Sunshine Law, which basically every state in the country does not have this law except for Florida. And basically, like, if you get arrested for doing something stupid, you have the right to opt out of getting the reporters to report on it, or the police can opt out. In Florida, you don't have that option, so everything gets put out.
Oh, that is so small town America.
Oh, well, I mean, welcome to Florida.
I'll confess that, you know, I've made the police blotter once or twice for speeding. I mean, where I live, the town is so small that if you get a speeding ticket, you're making the paper. It's that bad. But we don't have Florida men. And the reason I brought up the website is because I wanted to ask you, looking at it, and I did a little bit of a search on it a couple of times, I couldn't figure out if it was satire or there's just something wrong with Florida. I thought it was like... No, there's just some... Go ahead.
No, there is absolutely... These are all literal stories from Florida.
I thought it was like a offshoot of The Onion or something like that at first, just because some of the stuff on there is pretty wild, and we'll get into some of that here in a little bit. But you know, what's the quintessential Florida man story?
There isn't. He is such an enigma that it's literally like once you think you get him figured out, he comes up with something like Florida man doesn't even need somebody to hold his beer. He just holds his beer while he's doing whatever shenanigans he's coming up with.
part of it, one of the best parts of these, and sometimes the stories are a bit tragic or sad, but the headlines are incredible. I mean,
yeah, I've got a load of 60 of them where, I mean, it is pure comedy gold, and you don't even need to read the whole story. You just need to read the headline.
Well, I'm looking at one headline here right now, and we've only got a couple minutes before we go to break, so we'll finish up on this one. But man tells police bag of cocaine found in car must have blown in from the wind. I mean, that is, I would never have a bag of cocaine in my car, but if I were of that type, that is a perfect excuse. It's entirely believable. Why is why is it so unusual?
Well, I mean, they don't think it's unusual down here. I mean, if you think about it, Miami was built on cocaine, so you may as well just say Florida's best revenue is cocaine. Cocaine and meth at this point, but I mean, not to laugh about drugs too much, but I mean, that's the biggest problem. I mean, that is basically Florida man in a nutshell, is drugs, alcohol, or their brain is so fried from drugs and alcohol that they don't really have any idea what they're doing.
Yeah, I can understand that. And I mean, we do make fun of a lot of these, and it is fun to kind of pick on Florida man just because some of the stuff is so outrageous. But I mean, certainly there could be some underlying issues, and we don't want to make fun of them. But boy, some of these people, they open themselves up to some of the jokes.
Oh, 100% agree. 100% agree. It is,
yeah, exactly. I mean, you look at some of these headlines, and that's about all you can do is just maybe sit there and let your jaw drop a little bit and go, And with that, Kelly, I'm going to get you to hold on for just a second because we're going to step out for our first break.
Gotcha.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey Spaced Out Radio fans, it's John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. We live in a world of mystery and uncertainty, which you guys know better than anyone. Sometimes you just need to be brought back down to earth for a while. One of the best ways to stay grounded is to help out with your fellow earthlings, and there's no more rewarding way to do that than to give through CHIVE Charities. Unlike many organizations, we don't necessarily aim to save the world, cure disease, or change the course of history. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from vans to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. CHIVE Charities is nothing without our donors, an amazing group of underdogs helping underdogs. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
Are you addicted to the woo? Good. Me too. This is Dave Scott, and you can woo it up with me every Monday through Friday, starting at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, for 3 hours of great entertainment in the subjects you love. UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, intuition. Yes, we hit it all 5 days a week. Look for us at spacedoutradio.com, where together, my friends, we own the night.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for some great nightlife? The Moose Vancouver is the place to be. Catch a game on one of the big screens or just come rock out to your favorite 80s and 90s hair bands. Great food starting at $6.95. The Moose Vancouver is open until 2 a.m. nightly. It's easy to find near the corner of Nelson and Granville. The Moose Vancouver is the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio. Looking for something new to push your limits? Look Beyond the Spectrum, a new docuseries featuring some of the best researchers in the world when it comes to everything from UFOs, government cover-ups, and strange humanoids. Truth seekers Stephen Bassett, Jeff Meldrum, Jack Kasher, and Stanton Friedman, among others, all chip in to bring their knowledge to you. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon as well as Tubi TV. Tell us what you think on our Amazon page.
Welcome back to Spaced Out Sundays. I'm your host, Everett Thiemer, and thank you for spending your evening with us. Don't forget, if you've missed any part of the show, you can check out our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do us the favor and hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to some Bumblefoot, shopping in the SOR Vault, joining the Space Travelers Club, and so much more. Tonight, we called an audible. We switched guests, and brought in Kelly Eyer, longtime listener, friend of the show, and sort of our unofficial Florida correspondent. Kelly, I want to say first, thanks so much for stepping up when some people didn't. And the other thing I want to dig into this right away here now. We talked a little bit about Florida and Florida Man, and we'll get back to that. In fact, I want to talk to you about Florida Mom, because that was a phenomena that seems to have kind of come and go. But one of the things that you and I were messaging back and forth about over the past couple of days is black-eyed kids. And
right.
you had a couple of interesting theories and ideas on these, and I want to hear them. And I think I, to a certain extent, agree with you, especially about paranormal in general. And that's kind of where we're going to end up with this.
Well, yeah, I mean, I actually wanted to hear some more stuff about black-eyed kids. Unfortunately, I've spent the past week trying to look them up, the past few days really hammering down trying to look them up, and I have yet to find any recent stories about it. It's almost like they just fell off the planet, like they're just no longer here anymore. And I mean, not to say that any of the stories that came out in the past are true, and yes, Dave's already had like a conversation about how things go in waves. Like, you know, we'll have like, it'll be big on ghosts now, and then a couple months later it's big on UFOs, and then a couple months later we got Sasquatch going around. But it's never been like a complete drop off. So I'm almost wondering, and I'm not claiming this to be true or anything, but it just almost seems to me that it's almost like a pop culture reference. Like people are seeing these things because they're out watching, like, let's say a TV show where the demons have black eyes, and people watch the show, and then they go out in town and see kids with black eyes, and all of a sudden there you go. And then now that the show's like starting to wind down, they're getting to the point to where, okay, well, we're tired of this show. We're not watching it anymore. Now nobody's seeing any black-eyed children anymore.
Well, I think you mentioned demons, and I think demons are in some way the perfect example, because so many of these ghost shows, you know, they ran their course or they continued on, but their ratings were, you know, not necessarily dropping, but maybe a little stagnant. They were beginning to lose their popularity and their luster. And I think that some of them initially thought, well, let's turn these ghosts into demons. It'll help the fear factor and boost our ratings. And then I think so many of the other shows then just followed suit, almost to just kind of keep up. And I think with demons anyway, it's a case of where the concept was made because of the media.
Yes. And I agree. I mean, that to me it's like let's take these ghost hunter shows to begin with. Like, if you got to remember, like with any show, like reality wise, like if it's paranormal, UFO, some psychic lady that claims to be psychic with really bouffant hair, 90% of that film footage is left on the floor. And I think it was Dave was interviewing some guy about the Hell House, where he said that a certain show came in, they were there for 5 hours, didn't find anything, and then they claimed, said the guy was just making it up, or there was nothing there. And in my book, perfect hair and a tight T-shirt doesn't make a good TV show host. I mean, you're not going to go into a place and do an investigation and find something every single time. So that's not going to keep the producers of the show happy. Therefore, they're going to make something up to make everybody happy.
But ghost hunting would not make or doesn't make a great TV show if you have 5 hours of somebody sitting in front of a monitor watching some IR cameras. They have to edit, compress, add a little drama. I mean, I think so many people look at these shows and think that they're learning something. We have to remember that they are entertainment.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to look at everything. Like, as soon as you turn on your TV, got to look at it, and it just remember, you're using the TV to get away from reality, no matter if you're watching reality shows or not.
But getting back to Black-Eyed Kids, you said that it seems like they've kind of dropped off in popularity right now. And to a certain extent, I agree with you. But what I will say is that, here in the Chicago area, and I am not a Chicagoan, people will tell you, I like you, I would use Chicago to say kind of where I'm from. But if I said that to a Chicagoan, they would point out that I am far from a Chicagoan. But in the Chicago area, we have these reported sightings of Mothman. And, what I've noticed watching them, and, I'll keep my personal opinion to myself right now. But what I've noticed is even with these, the fear factor, the scare factor, the intriguement factors, and is intriguement a word? It is now. It has been ramped up because there have been a few of these reports where people have said that there appeared to be some form of, whether it be Man in Black, Black-Eyed Kid. Some people have said there were aliens afterwards that were wandering around. So there have been some cases of Black-Eyed Kids surrounding those. But I think you're right in the idea of maybe it's run its course a little bit. I mean, I think I first became aware of them probably, 15, 20 years ago. And then looking back, it seems like there were cases of them in the 1700s, some in the 1800s, kind of, I'm guessing maybe because of the availability of media. That seemed like there were some in the 1900s. But they've always been sort of historical reports. I'm very unfamiliar with too many current reports. Even in the last 15, 20 years, it always seems like we're getting them, second or third hand.
Right. Yeah. Exactly my point. I mean, I've seen some YouTube videos about them, but then again, it's YouTube. I mean, they're just as easy to create the dramatic effect for clicks, just like producers are for ghost hunting shows or UFO shows or psychic reading shows or whatever.
Gutter in the Spreaker chat just said that he's over in River Forest, which is not that far from me. It's in the Chicagoland area. And they've had some reports of interesting activity over there. Not to divert this into Mothman because I want to go a little deeper into Black-Eyed Kids, but, when you look at the amount of reports that are out there, I would expect there to be more fanfare, more serious research, more academic interest. I would expect more from different communities of study if this were a little bit, if this seemed more legitimate. And I'm not questioning everybody's sightings, but I'm just afraid that it's kind of, sort of like Black-Eyed Kids, maybe gotten a life of its own.
Right. I mean, I agree. I mean, yeah, there's been, I haven't really, I've perused the Chicago Mothman sightings and whatnot. I didn't really notice that they were saying that there was, people seeing aliens or grays and Black-Eyed Kids or Men in Black or whatever. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe the Black-Eyed Kids are children of Men in Black, possibly. I don't know.
This is going to sound like a weird... Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, finish your thought.
Well, I mean, it's just like I said, the whole black-eyed kid thing. I mean, it just seems like it just fell off the face of the earth. It didn't just like let's take the Bigfoot, for instance. Even though like it falls out in popularity, it doesn't 100% go away. And I'm not saying that the black-eyed kid story went 100% away. Maybe it's just nobody's taking in those reports. And like you said, nobody's really investigating it, which I view that as that's because nobody who does really investigations gets along with each other. I mean,
well, could it be that they're not being investigated or reported as much as maybe we'd like? Because, and you'll have to help me with this a little bit, but they seem to be primarily almost a rural phenomena, aren't they? I mean, I've never heard of, or I've rarely heard of somebody in an urban environment or even a suburban environment talk about a black-eyed kid knock on their door and they see him walk, they see him walk away. It seems like where they appear is typically where the houses are spaced farther apart, and they knock on the door, they get turned away, and they walk down the sidewalk or whatever, walk towards the road, and they disappear, or they seem to be spotted on the side of the road.
Well, I mean, there are a few stories where black-eyed kids have been seen. Like, I think there was one where a guy he was coming out of a movie theater and these kids were asking for a ride and they had black eyes and he just took off. And there's been a few stories like that in more of an urban setting, but you're right. The most of them are mostly kids who are dressed like they're from the 1800s or, at least a few generations before current dress, knocking on somebody's door in a kind of not so secluded, but like a suburban type of area.
Okay, yeah. See, I can see them being out in more of a suburban or rural area and not being reported. And I say that, I don't want to say from experience, but I say that from, where I live, we're very isolated. We're very rural. And I pretty much know who walks up and down our road and walks their dog at what times and things like that. It's not that I'm nosy. It's that we've lived here a long time and there's very few people.
Oh, so there's absolutely no reason for you to bury your Gibsons, right?
They are not buried. See, that's
okay.
They are not. How far under the ground are they? 182 feet, something like that. At last report, Dave said it was like, I think 182 feet underground. I mean, if you could shoot a shotgun off and that's the only way to get your neighbor's attention, then I'm pretty sure your Gibsons are safe. Yeah. Not to veer away from the black-eyed kids again, but they're put away because, like I said, I live in a rural environment. It's very dusty. We have people coming in and out of our house periodically to visit and play and things like that. They're not the kind of things you just leave sitting in the living room, Little kid knocks them over. When the time comes, and there's some things in the works, when the time comes, they will be unpacked and shown in all their glory. But for right now, they're they're put away because they're mine. That's why.
Exactly.
But with the black-eyed kids, I've seen people walking down my road at an unusual time. And, nobody's ever really approached me or anything like that. But how much of it do you think is people see somebody in the dark, maybe in an unfamiliar or unexpected area or way, and because it's dark or because they're not paying that much attention, they just kind of see the eyes as black, or they're, something like that. How much of it do you think could be just misidentification?
being a skeptical believer, the believer side wants to like, you know, move the odds under a certain percentage. But then again, the skeptical side of me says light playing tricks on your mind is a very funny thing.
Right. Now, the one thing that does go ahead.
Well, I mean, you know, street lamps. I mean, that could make some, you know, if it's very late at night and street lamps, I mean, regardless, it would be still kind of weird that a young child is out at, like, let's say 3:00 in the morning standing under a street lamp, but still, light plays tricks very well.
The part of this that intrigues me, and I wonder how it ties into pop culture a little bit, or you know, well, I guess pop culture is the best words for it, is the idea that they have to be invited into your house. And that plays very much off the idea of a vampire would have to be invited into your house.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah. I think a lot, especially when it comes to like the internet these days, where, you know, any small meme will keep getting generated until somebody believes it. I mean, to me, the internet has been a big proponent of that, where somebody's small little, you know, meme where like, haha, look, this is funny, ends up turning into, oh no, this is true. And if you don't believe it, well, then you're just a sheep.
Are you saying that everything on the internet is not true?
Oh, no, I'm totally not saying that. Everything on the internet is absolutely 100% factual.
You scared me
when it comes to Florida Man.
Yeah. Well, gotta bring in that Florida Man. What do you think, though, about, and like you had mentioned, Supernatural? That
right.
These kind of, now I've never seen Supernatural, but, you know, there is the idea, and there are the reports before Supernatural was on the air. Is it possible that maybe, like so many other fictional shows, they take historical elements of truth or historical elements of reports and integrate them into their shows to kind of add a bit of reality?
I could agree with that. I mean, it's like, maybe somebody was, you don't know, one of the writers could have been like into Black-Eyed Children. It's like, hey, let's write this into the show. I mean, yeah, I've watched the show, but I tend to like, when the seasons start repeating themselves, that's when I tend to get bored and stop watching. So I've stopped watching it after like the 4th or 5th season. You know, you can only watch somebody die so many times before you're like, okay, I'm done.
Well,
so, I mean, yeah, I mean, that just, and, you know, people watch it, they start getting into it, or like they start researching other things and they think they see something or whatever. I mean,
you know what I'm curious with the Black-Eyed Kids is we hear these reports, and generally, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, and I probably am wrong, generally, they seem to end with the kids being either turned away or being about to be turned away, and they disappear. Are there any reports of people inviting these kids in, and what happens in the aftermath or beyond that?
There is a scant few reports where, and then again, these could be just completely made up stories, like creepypastas or something like that, where they were invited in and they ended up killing the people who invited them in. But there again, that just goes back into the pop culture of, it's a vampire. You're letting them in your house. You have to let them in before they can enter. And I'm like, well, I mean, if he's undead, then he's going to kind of do whatever in the heck he wants to, right?
I was just thinking, because it is the weekend, which means we've been inundated with Ancient Aliens for the weekend on the History Channel. And one of the one of the shows they had this week, I don't know if it was a new one this week or if it was an old one from earlier, but it was going on about body modifications. And one of the things that they showed, I was a little queasy, so I didn't watch too much of it, was these people who are having their eyes basically tattooed or dyed where they're permanently black.
Yeah, I've been seeing that, and I'm trying not to become that.
You're one step away from being the old man telling us to get off your lawn, aren't you?
Oh gosh, I'm trying not to be that guy. Totally trying not to be that guy, but there's a bunch of things that just make me just want to go nuts. I mean, I'm pierced, I'm tattooed. Everybody knows that I have a massive beard, and I'm not like everybody else on Spaced Out Radio with beautiful hair, but because I shave my head, and it's not due to because I'm bald. It's just because my hair has the same consistency as my beard. So if I grew my hair out and my beard out, I may as well start painting happy trees. So
that's terrible.
Oh yeah, I've got horrible hair. So that's why I shave my head. Regardless, I don't want to hate on anybody for anything they do, but some people are just, it's kind of that thing where they ask for, you give them an inch and they take a mile.
Yeah, I understand that, I guess. I don't want to see you become, get off my lawn guy, especially there in Florida. But Kelly, I'm going to get you to hold on for just 1 second, because we are going to step out and take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to continue on with Black Eyed Kids, maybe get into a couple of the historical stories and talk about how all of the paranormal is influenced by pop culture a little bit. And we will be right back on Spaced Out Radio.
John Resig here, founder of CHIVE Charities. And just like you, we have a penchant for the uncommon, the overlooked, and the off-the-cuff. CHIVE Charities operates a bit differently than most organizations. We listen to our recipients to find out exactly what they need, and then we give it to them. We provide people with rare medical conditions, veterans, and first responders with grant items that will make a direct impact on that person's life. We don't just forget about our recipients when the van or the wheelchair has been delivered, though. Our recipients are part of our CHIVE Charities family for life. By becoming a donor with us, you could be a part of that family too. And our listeners of Spaced Out Radio know that thinking differently can be a very good thing. To get to know some of our recipients and to support Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and start making a real difference today.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot THAL. Come tune in to SOR, where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com, where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com, and remember, Little Brother is watching.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Come hang out with me, Little Richie G, as I take over the airwaves on Spaced Out Saturdays. This is Rich Giordano, and I'm going to bring you the most fun on the radio you can have with your clothes on. We're going to get to the heart of the subjects from UFOs to what's going on in the paranormal and everything in between. So come join me at spacedoutradio.com starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, for the fastest 3 hours of your week.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Looking for something new to push your limits? Look Beyond the Spectrum, a new docu-series featuring some of the best researchers in the world when it comes to everything from UFOs, government cover-ups, and strange humanoids. Truth seekers Stephen Bassett, Jeff Meldrum, Jack Kasher, and Stanton Friedman, among others, all chip in to bring their knowledge to you. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon as well as Tubi TV. Tell us what you think on our Amazon page.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I'm bringing you the Woo every Monday through Friday on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going all out to bring you the strangest, oddest stories and subjects I could find for your entertainment. Why? Because when we hit peak Woo, I know I've done my job. So come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com, 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, and together, my friends, we own the night.
Welcome back to Spaced Out Sundays. I'm your host, Everett Thiemer. Thank you for sticking around with us. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates. KDNF, AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas. KDUN, AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon. KZFX, 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California. WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, and UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. On the digital side, we are on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. And don't forget, you can check out our archives at youtube.com/spacedoutradio, and they're always free. Just do us the favor and hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to some Bumblefoot, shopping at the Spaced Out Radio Vault, reading up on the SOR Newswire, where you can find Dave's weekly blog, and so much more. We're bringing back Kelly Eyer. And before the break, Kelly, we were talking about black-eyed kids. And one of the things I want to ask you is we've talked about how the reports of them have kind of dropped off, and maybe they have, maybe they haven't, because it's one of those things that maybe people don't exactly know where to report it to. But one of the things I wanted to ask you and get your opinion on is the historical context. I mean, it seems like over the course of a few hundred years, when there was, I want to say that the first report that I remember, I would say, was in England sometime around the early 1700s. And now they've grown in popularity, and they've been more reported now. But, and I just lost my train of thought, because I'm trying to figure out, are they really any more popular, any less popular, or is it just a matter of people don't know exactly where to report them?
Well, I think nobody really knows where to report them, because, like I was trying to get into before, it's we don't have like what everybody complains about with the military and the government. Everything is compartmentalized. Well, it's the same on the UFO, Bigfoot, paranormal side. Everything's compartmentalized, and nobody wants to research it because, oh, well, that's not what I'm doing research on, so why should I do anything about it? Talk to these guys. And those guys are telling you the same thing, so they probably just either just leave it alone and hope that it doesn't happen again, or they just keep trying to find somebody to talk to about it.
You know, one of the things that I have seen maybe in the last couple of months is people trying to sort of equate the black-eyed kids with the idea of the Men in Black. Do you think that that's just because of the weirdness factor and these men are wearing black and these kids seem to have black eyes? Or do you think that maybe there's something there?
I honestly don't know. I mean, it could be. It could be. I mean, the way that I go in life is anything is possible, but is it probable? I mean, they could be attached, or they could not be. I mean, I mean, maybe the Men in Black are somebody who goes out to investigate everything weird. It could be. I mean, they could not be.
You bring up an interesting question or an interesting situation. That's something that I think we've seen a little bit more in recent years. The idea that Men in Black don't just investigate UFO sightings. They seem to possibly appear at hauntings, at poltergeist activity. And Kelly, if I can get you to back away from your microphone just a little bit.
Yep.
I was talking with Zelia Edgar last week. Was it last week? Yes. And she had mentioned that the idea of these Men in Black being specifically for UFOs is not quite true, that they have appeared at many other sort of paranormal events. or in the aftermath of many other paranormal events?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, why would they be just for UFOs? I mean, they could be out there investigating everything weird. I mean, it just because.
But does that
we only really see them?
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, just because we only really see them pop up to investigate UFOs, that's just where most everybody's been saying that they've seen them. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're not out. Because I mean, we don't know exactly what the paranormal is. We don't know exactly what Bigfoot is. We don't know. We just don't know. So all that could be tied together. Maybe they know that it's all tied together. Maybe they're coming in to investigate it.
But, one of the theories behind the Men in Black is the idea that there's some form of government agent sent out to kind of collect information on experiencers or events. What does this do then to the agenda or the concept of the Men in Black? Because if they're not just coming to UFO events and they're showing up for other things, does that take away from the idea that they're a government agency or members of a government agency trying to collect information on UFOs? Does it make them some sort of like watcher over the entire human race? Does it make them alien robots who are here just to monitor what we're doing? What do you think it does to that concept?
Well, I mean, it possibly could put a giant hurting on everybody who seems to think that it's a secret part of the government. I mean, honestly, I think it would be more a better explanation that they're not tied to the government. They're just their own type of, I mean, they could be alien robots. They could be aliens themselves. They could be interdimensional beings that are just, keeping an eye on everything. Like you said, honestly, it makes more sense that they're just watchers rather than some privately funded government issue. I mean, we've got guys that are former government agents that are basically paying the army to test magnesium. So
what do you think, or what's your opinion on, we've talked about, the Black-Eyed Kids and how they're maybe a construct of the pop culture, media, entertainment side. Could this be a case, because you look at a Man in Black and you look at a Black-Eyed Kid, and there are some definite similarities. People often talk about both of them being somewhat pale or stoic or somewhat like emotionless. You have the Men in Black typically wearing black suits. You have these children with black eyes. Could this just be a case where we're upping the fear factor a little bit? We're tying it all in because Men in Black got a little boring and Black-Eyed Kids got a little boring, so let's combine them and come up with a new scare.
That actually makes sense. I mean, like I said, when it comes to a lot of things like pop culture or the paranormal field in general, it's basically people get bored. I mean, attention spans drop fairly quickly these days, so everybody's got to keep everything interesting, I suppose.
What do you think that does to the idea of Black-Eyed Kids? Do you think it's going to sort of dilute the evidence and reports out there? Do you think it's going to make... Let's assume that there are some legitimate reports of Black-Eyed Kids out there, because I it's one of those things that I find hard for people to make up. But if we have this sort of escalation to make it more entertaining, more intriguing. Do you think that sort of dilutes the evidence pool, makes it in the long run less significant, less interesting, less important? Or do you think it just kind of keeps ramping up?
Yes. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we're getting, like, let's say YouTube or just whatever you have on the internet, people are basically just trying to earn money by getting those clicks. So, I mean, people who have legitimate stories might not be as interesting. I mean, take a lot of these movies that are, or TV shows that are based on real life events. A lot of people are not realizing that it's maybe 5% truth and the rest of it's made up because the actual story is extremely boring. Like, well, for instance, the Project Blue Book television series. I mean,
what about it? Because there's very little truth in that.
Exactly my point. I mean, if you did like if they would have done like a real series on J. Allen Hynek's real life when it came to Project Blue Book, it would probably wouldn't have lasted 3 episodes.
Yeah, but J. Allen Hynek's life, his life and his work and his studies are interesting in their own right. They don't need to be glorified, dramatized, have facts from one story pulled and put into another story and made into a TV show, because that's what happened in many cases with Project Blue Book. It was
exactly.
It was like they took bits and pieces of every story and kind of collected them to make a good story for each episode.
Right, but still, like, it's at the end of the day, they're trying to make sure that the show makes money for them. I mean, it's the History Channel. They really haven't done too much of anything history in, I'd say, a good 20 years. I mean, come on. Do you really think J. Allen Hynek's wife had like, I'm not 100% positive, but I don't think that his wife had like a lesbian experience with a Russian sympathizer.
In a sauna or spa or whatever they were building.
Exactly. So, I mean, to me, that kind of explains the whole black-eyed children thing. You might have a few stories of where people had like a very odd experience, but to get those clicks on the internet or the Patreon purchases for somebody's podcast or what have you, they're going to embellish the story just to make it more interesting.
Well, you mentioned clicks. And basically, in this day and age, whatever your experience is, the first place that you're probably going to find to report something is on the internet. And the internet is based on clicks. So if you have an experience or you have something happen to you, are you already then sort of geared up to embellish it because you know there are clicks that need to be had? And then as a media outlet or reporting outlet, how many of them do you think then take that story and go, you know what, we're going to just add a little bit of detail here, we're going to change this a little bit, and all of a sudden, even if I've reported the most accurate experience that I could, it becomes something more on the internet before I've even had a chance to tell it.
Yes. Like, if you take YouTube, for instance, like everybody on YouTube, I don't care who they are. If they start a YouTube channel, all they want is the subscribers. They're trying to hit that 1 million subscribers so they can earn money off clicks.
Right.
Whether or not, I mean, we've seen proof positive. There's been certain YouTube channels that have over 2 million subscribers, and they're putting up about, well, I don't know the percentage rate, but the majority of the stuff that they're putting up is hoaxes and making a crap ton of money off of it. And then they get demonetized because they're putting up a bunch of fake stories and then go away for a while and then come back with they just come back. Let's just say that. But, I mean, if you look at it these days, somebody's just trying to get famous just to make money. At the end of the day, they don't really care if the story is true or not. And that's kind of the problem that I see with it these days is nobody cares if the story is true or not so much true, but has at least decent evidence to go along with it. They just want to make that money.
Speaking of making money, and we've got about 5 minutes here. We'll start with this, but it opens up a whole can of worms. We've talked about, embellishing these stories and making everything about money. And I know I sent this to you. There is a realtor in Ohio who posted, she's trying to sell this house, and I won't name her, but she's trying to sell this house for a client. And in the photos that she's posted in the listing, she's had somebody dress up as Bigfoot and do things like walk across the backyard, peek over the fence. It's obviously just a marketing ploy, but does it cheapen the Bigfoot experiences? Does it cheapen the paranormal in general by turning it into basically just a marketing tool? And why would you, knowing that it's fake, be interested in buying something like that?
Well, it's people are just trying to earn money, and this lady's like, oh, well, okay, maybe she watched Harry and the Hendersons at some point and decided, well, I've got this house to sell. Hey, husband, how about you throw on this Bigfoot outfit and walk around in the backyard so I can try and sell this house that I've been trying to sell for 2 years? I mean, it sells. I mean, wouldn't you think that, like, if you saw like a dog driving a car down the road, 100% dangerous, like a family of dogs with their little puppies in the back and everything, driving a car down the road, completely dangerous, right? Well, Subaru seems to be selling a bunch of cars with golden retrievers driving it around.
But this is, I don't know. The story was pretty vague. I don't know if this was set up originally to be real or appear real, and then maybe somebody caught on or whatever, and now it's obviously a game or a hoax or however you want to put it. But is that bad marketing? I mean, to me, if I'm somebody looking for a house and I see this, I'm going to think the realtor is a little bit unprofessional. Or if I'm looking to buy, and we'll get into this in the next segment, if I'm looking to buy or experience something paranormal, live in an environment or an area that has paranormal activity, and I see these photos and I think, oh, there's Bigfoot walking around in the back, and I buy it, I'm potentially disappointed because it's just a guy in a suit.
Right. And I'm pretty sure that lady's not like a Bigfoot enthusiast, let's say. She's probably just, her husband decided to dress up like that for Halloween, and she's like, hey, that seems like a good idea to try and help sell the house. how about you dress up like that and we'll take pictures of the house with you walking around it. And she's probably not even, she's probably like unknown, let's say. Doesn't research Bigfoot, doesn't go out into the woods tree knocking or leaving, gift boxes for Bigfoot or whatever. She's just.
But doesn't that just help perpetuate the somewhat, I don't know exactly how to put it. Doesn't it perpetuate the idea that the paranormal community maybe lacks a little bit of credibility? Does it cheapen the whole paranormal community in a way?
Oh, it definitely does. Like that's just somebody who's doesn't realize that they're perpetuating the snicker factor, let's say.
Yeah,
like,
I can see that.
She probably doesn't. Yeah, she probably doesn't realize she's doing it, or she's just still a part of that generation that just wants to think that it's all crap.
Well, I just don't understand. It's an interesting marketing tactic, and maybe when we come back from break, we can get into the idea of how the paranormal is used as marketing a little bit. But it to me, it just seems like such a questionable thing to do, and I would expect or maybe hope that some people would call her out on this and point out that it's a bad idea or an idea that paints a negative light possibly on the paranormal community.
Well, yeah, you got a good point on that, but I mean, if she really doesn't care, then people pointing fingers at her are just going to be labeled as, oh, well, you're just stop being so offended by everything, blah, blah, blah.
Well, and the one thing though is maybe it's actually working, because here we are talking about it, and that's the one thing about marketing. I mean, if you see some fake Bigfoot pictures and it gets you to look at a house that's for sale, and if you're in the market, maybe you see it and you like that backyard, and maybe you like that bedroom or something like that, and now all of a sudden you're interested in the house, whether the Bigfoot is real or not.
I'd tell her to throw in the Bigfoot outfit and we got a deal.
Okay, Kelly, I'm going to get you to hold on for 1 second, because we are going to step out and take another break. We will be right back on Spaced Out Sundays.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, CHIVE Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Heading to Vancouver and looking for some great nightlife? The Moose Vancouver is the place to be. Catch a game on one of the big screens or just come rock out to your favorite 80s and 90s hair bands. Great food starting at $6.95. The Moose Vancouver is open until 2 a.m. nightly. It's easy to find near the corner of Nelson and Granville. The Moose Vancouver is the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com. Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
Welcome back to Spaced Out Sundays. I'm your host, Everett Thiemer, and thank you for spending your evening with us. Don't forget, if you've missed any part of the show, you can check out our archives for free at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. Just do us that favor and hit the subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to some Bumblefoot, shopping in the SOR Vault, joining the Space Travelers Club, and so much more. Now, tonight we called an audible, decided we weren't going to have a particular guest on, and we brought in Kelly Eyer, our Florida correspondent. And before the break, Kelly, we were kind of talking about this case in Ohio where this realtor has posted some pictures of Bigfoot on the property. And we had a little fun with that, but I want to kind of dig a little deeper in this in how the paranormal is being used to market products. And what does that do to the paranormal community? Because you look at things and, it started off kind of innocuously enough where you would have these bars or restaurants that would go on these shows and they would talk about their weird experiences and things going on in their bars. And then pretty soon, well, you'd hear about them getting kind of that paranormal crowd coming to their establishment. And then it seems like it moved on to hotels. And then pretty soon you'd see people on these shows where they bought a house because they heard it was haunted, and now they're turning it into a haunted bed and breakfast or a haunted house kind of attraction. It just seems like in many cases, the paranormal is now just a marketing tool.
Yeah, I agree. I was talking to my wife earlier because, like I was telling you earlier, the episode of Ancient Aliens popped up about the raid Area 51. And I was telling her about it, and she was like, I wonder if your brother went to that. Well, my brother, he lives in Tucson, and he works out at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. And I'm like, well, babe, it's in Nevada. And she's like, I thought it was in Arizona. So I typed in Area 51 and on my Google Maps, and I literally found like 6 bars in Florida named Area 51. And I had to just focus in on the U.S. map to find the general area of it and tell her, I'm like, and she's like, well, I mean, they're in a spot. I'm like, and I try to be the skeptical about it. And I'm like, well, I mean, it's an experimental aircraft base. What do you think you're going to see out there? Aircraft that you really have never seen before. I mean, not to get into that whole discussion, but yeah, I completely 100% agree with you that, a lot of people are using the paranormal to pad their pockets, let's say. I mean, it worked for Zach Baggins, so.
Well, it's kind of weird and maybe a little disappointing because they always seem to get some paranormal group to come in and investigate. And then it seems like after a local paranormal group will investigate, somehow it will be forwarded to one of the plethora of TV shows. And there are plenty of them out there. Mm-hmm. Where all of a sudden, these TV shows, for the most part, kind of moved away from investigating people's personal and private experiences in homes. And it's one thing after another. It's this building that's a Halloween attraction. It's this bed and breakfast that has a reputed ghost in the attic. It's always a business. And when I say always, I know I'm painting it with a broad stroke, but a majority of them have become these business-related entities. And it seems to me that in a way, we're kind of losing the personal experience and the personal events. And I don't mean like people sharing things that they don't want to. I mean, I want to hear about what's going on in this guy's backyard or, this old barn on this guy's property, as much as I want to hear about, yet another bed and breakfast that has a ghost in room 24.
Exactly. I mean, and this is kind of going back into my past and one of my personal experiences that I've had. And a friend of mine in Alton, his parents own, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's called the McPike Mansion.
Yes.
And, well, yeah, one of my friends from when I was way younger, his parents own it. And that was actually on an episode of that old episode, Fox Fact or Fiction. And it was one of the only stories that they couldn't really debunk. And they've got pictures of shadow figures in the house. They've got video footage of this mist that the cameras can't focus on, but it keeps like going back and forth in the basement. And I've actually literally witnessed this. And when you walk into a basement, I mean, people who don't have basements, generally it's always cooler in the basement. So you take that first step off the step into the basement, and it's about 10, 15 degrees cooler. But if you walk 5 to 10 feet into the basement, it suddenly gets 60 degrees cooler. So, and you're right. I mean, his parents have been trying to restore this place into a bed and breakfast, but now that you have the plethora of TV shows out there these days that are just trying to get their next episode aired, yeah, I mean, people are just using it just to pad their pockets. I mean, and
go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's basically it. I mean, a lot of these UFO shows are, at the end of the day, it just boils down to money, and they have to make sure that their show stays popular so that they can keep going out and adding things to their, haunted museums back home that way, or buying up all these haunted houses and everything. And it's sad because it's a detriment to the field, in my opinion. But then again, it's like you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't, because if they're not on the air, then how is it supposed to get more popular?
Right. And I don't want to sound like I'm coming down on everybody who, has a historic building that has some ghost activity, and I don't want to lump them into this one big sort of group, but there are so many of these stories out there where these people, they buy something, whether it be a restaurant, a bar, a hotel, but they buy it, and then all of a sudden it seems as though they have some sort of weird activity. And, there doesn't seem to always be a history behind it. It just sort of seems to pop up. And then, early on when these things were coming on the ghost hunting shows, what you would find is many times that through telling the story or talking to the owners of the building, you would kind of find out late in the story that, oh yeah, they're thinking about doing this or doing that. They're turning it into something else. And I wonder how much of that is marketing, and does it again go back to we're contaminating the evidence pool?
I want to say yes, because I mean, like I said before, like there is a ton of stuff that's just left on the cutting room floor when they go to editing. I mean, I don't have, now everybody listening, I am not an expert at anything, but the one thing I do know is that when it comes to TV shows, they don't put up everything that you see. There's a lot of B-roll and A-roll and C-roll and Z-roll and stuff that just gets deleted just because of time, or they don't think that that's good enough, or this is good enough, or, they're trying to edit out somebody pulling a string to get something to move or a light to turn on or something.
Yeah, I understand that. And maybe this will be one of those situations where it'll kind of move back to sort of the personal experience and less the business that has an issue. Because I while it was interesting to see some of these old historic buildings, in a way I'd kind of like to see it shift back again and hear some of the more personal stories, and hear a ghost story or see something like this where it doesn't turn out that, oh, by the way, we're starting a business, or we have a restaurant, or something like that. Yeah. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out the
the guy with the Stardust Ranch, because had nobody told me that the Stardust Ranch was in Arizona, I would have swore that would have been a Florida man story, because the guy's out there killing aliens with swords. Come on. That's
I almost believable.
Yeah. I mean, that could totally be like a Florida man story if you didn't already know that the ranch was in Arizona.
Oh, I can't believe you went there.
Oh, come on. I mean, that killing aliens with a samurai sword, that is an ultimate Florida man story. Like, I honestly think Florida man was offended by that guy.
I just want to point out.
But then again, it's an interesting story, though. I actually really like that Stardust Ranch story, though.
I just want to point out real quickly that Monk's Maine has pointed out that you need a pointy stick to kill an alien. Samurai swords don't work. It needs to be a pointy stick.
Oh.
So that's where he went wrong.
Well, okay. Yeah. Wow. Well, thanks.
Talking about aliens.
I need to invest in some pointy sticks.
You can never have too many pointy sticks.
Oh, gosh, no.
No, never too many. Switching gears a little bit, because you mentioned aliens. And I know you saw this story because I sent it to you. The idea that tardigrade DNA could help us survive on Mars. Now, for people that aren't familiar with the tardigrade, it is this microscopic, indestructible creature that it's capable of surviving in space. It can be frozen. It can be exposed to radiation. There's no way to kill it. It's stronger than a cockroach. And
yeah, I was just getting ready to say, it's like an adorable little cockroach.
And now there's this idea that DNA from these little things could be inserted into human cells to help us endure the environment on Mars. And there are ethical questions, there are biological questions, there are so many questions with that.
Yeah, but I mean, in my book, we could get to Mars quicker than we could actually doing this to humans. Just looking at, it's not like they can make a salve that you put over your skin and like, okay, you're good, go. I honestly think we could get to Mars before we could actually make this happen.
I think you're right. I could see us putting some form of outpost on Mars, of buildings or capsules, however you want to phrase it, and having
blow
people
up tents from Bob Bigelow.
Yeah, having people live there. But this idea of, we're arguing about whether or not our corn is genetically engineered, and we have so many things, with the non-GMO ingredients in foods and things like that. This seems like it's an interesting dilemma, because would you have tardigrade DNA spliced into your genes?
Well, yeah, honestly, I would. Come on. That would give you like some crazy superpowers.
my genes aren't so good to begin with. I don't really want people tinkering with them, because this could potentially go horribly wrong.
Well, possibly, but then again, maybe we could be immune to pointy sticks.
Oh, you're never immune to the pointy stick.
Yeah, just put a piece of sausage on the end of it. I'm done.
Now, what do you think of the idea of, and this is obviously a ways off, maybe not as far as we'd like to think, but it's not going to happen tomorrow. But the idea of splicing these genes to make us more adaptable to environments, what do you think of that? You think it's okay?
Well, if it's our only option to be able to survive off of this planet, then I would say possibly. I mean, because we don't know. Because like I said, the time that they're going to be actually able to get this done is going to be so far in the future. We don't really know how the planet's going to be at the time. So it might be not an option to not get it done.
Well, you know, that brings up an interesting question. I can't remember who the scientist was, but he pointed out the idea that terraforming any planet, whether it be Mars or something, 20 light years away, it's not something that, in his words, it wasn't something viable to even study right now, because it's not just 50 years away, it's generations away. And in my opinion, it's still worth studying because or attempting or looking at, because we will learn things from it. Maybe they don't solve the terraforming issues, but we will learn things from it. But
well, yeah. I mean that's kind of how science works. I mean, it's we're working on things, and we don't know what's going to be true 10, 20, 30, 100 years from now. I mean, what we think of science today, what we know is just what the data that we have in hand. Everything else beyond that is just not true, magic, witchcraft, whatever. I mean, that's just the way that it's always has been. I mean, science always changes its mind. It's not the answer. Science is always asking a question.
Well, I wonder about this with the idea of splicing these genes into the human body. I mean, first of all, they're a tiny little microscopic slug. I mean, they're horrible to look at. They're ugly, but they can survive everything. So, part of me is, I don't want to say fearful, but questioning this, because it's kind of that next step into human engineering. But at the same time, I can kind of see how it would potentially benefit somebody traveling to Mars. I guess it depends a little bit on what kind of structures we use on Mars. If we're using inflatable tents, then maybe we do need a bit more resistance to radiation or something like that. But if we're sending up, sort of the science fiction like capsule that gets linked to another one, and we're kind of living in sort of a futuristic looking building or house where the environment is controlled inside, maybe this is something that we shouldn't do. We shouldn't mess around with, because it's very close to tinkering with Mother Nature. Well, actually, it is tinkering with Mother Nature.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, and everybody's been doing it for years. I mean, in my book, everything is a GMO. Everything. Like, if you look at corn from hundreds of years ago, it was the size of your thumb and you could eat the whole thing. Bananas had seeds. Dogs were bred down from big 150, 120 pound wolves down to little yiping, ankle biting things that have breathing problems.
Don't forget that carrots were originally mostly purple little radish-like looking things.
Yep. I mean, everything is a GMO. And I think everybody's fear of, that everybody's only fear of the GMO should be that the companies who own the patents on them are suing farmers who's, they're suing people whose their seeds accidentally blow to the other farmers' fields and it starts growing. That's about the only thing you should be afraid of with GMOs, because everything has been bred and tweaked and made to last longer and taste better, and it's always been happening.
Well, how much of it do you think is sort of that fear of the corporate nation, for lack of a better word? Because genetic modification has been going on for thousands of years, simply by the fact of when a farmer would grow, we'll stick with carrots. When farmers would grow carrots, the ones that they really liked, they would keep the seeds from. And the ones that maybe didn't have traits that were so beneficial or that they didn't really like, they wouldn't use those seeds. So over the course of generations, the dominant traits were changed through basically humankind's choice of planting which plants. And that's a form of genetic modification. You've chosen what you want, and you've propagated a plant with those traits. But
exactly.
now it's, we talk about genetically modified. It's essentially some scientists in a lab going in and splicing some genes together and shooting them into a seed or a plant. And that can sound a lot more fearful than you just planting apples from the one apple tree that you really like to get some apple trees that have similar traits. Do you see where I'm going with that?
Yeah, I do. But I mean, at the end of the day, if you really, and I can see where people get scared by that, but at the end of the day, it's you should be more afraid of the corporation itself rather than the product it's putting out. Like, I mean, but then again, like, to get back to the tardigrade DNA splicing into humans, that I can actually see being a problem if they were doing it today, if it were able to be done today. Because according to the story, like, they were talking about the astronauts, the twin brothers, the Kellys. How, like, the one brother stayed on a planet and the other one was at the ISS for, I guess, like a year,
right,
or year and a half, something like that. I don't remember. But when he came down, he was actually, I
know where you're going with that.
Noticeable, but
I don't know how he can be considered older, even if it's just milliseconds. I don't know how he can be considered older because they were still born at the same time. But, Kelly, we'll get into that. We've got to step out for just a couple more. We got to go out for a break here quick. And while we're out, we're going to figure out how we went from ghosts to gene splicing. We'll be right back on Spaced Out Radio. They're Spaced Out Sunday.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I'm bringing you the Woo every Monday through Friday on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going all out to bring you the strangest, oddest stories and subjects I could find for your entertainment. Why? Because when we hit peak Woo, I know I've done my job. So come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com, 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, and together, my friends, we own the night.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
John Resig here, founder of CHIVE Charities. And just like you, we have a penchant for the uncommon, the overlooked, and the off-the-cuff. CHIVE Charities operates a bit differently than most organizations. We listen to our recipients to find out exactly what they need, and then we give it to them. We provide people with rare medical conditions, veterans, and first responders with grant items that will make a direct impact on that person's life. We don't just forget about our recipients when the van or the wheelchair has been delivered, though. Our recipients are part of our CHIVE Charities family for life. By becoming a donor with us, you could be a part of that family too. And our listeners of Spaced Out Radio know that thinking differently can be a very good thing. To get to know some of our recipients and to support Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and start making a real difference today.
If you're heading to Vancouver, make sure you stop by the official bar of Spaced Out Radio, the Moose Vancouver. It's the place to party in YVR. At the corner of Nelson and Granville, the Moose Vancouver is always up to speed with a kitchen staff that serves great food. All food on the menu, $6.95 to $8.95. There's a reason the Moose Vancouver is recognized as one of the hottest spots on the West Coast. Get your horns up for the Moose Vancouver.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR, where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com, where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com, and remember, Little Brother is watching.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Come hang out with me, Little Richie G, as I take over the airwaves on Spaced Out Saturdays. This is Rich Giordano, and I'm going to bring you the most fun on the radio you can have with your clothes on. We're going to get to the heart of the subjects, from UFOs to what's going on in the paranormal and everything in between. So come join me at spacedoutradio.com, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, for the fastest 3 hours of your week.
My hands can feel good. I'm free.
Welcome back to Spaced Out Sunday. I am your host, Everett Thiemer, and thank you for sticking around with us. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates. KDNF AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas. KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon. KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California. WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia. And UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. On the digital side, we are on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Don't forget, you can check out our archives at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. Just do us the favor and hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to some Bumblefoot, shopping at the Spaced Out Radio Vault, reading up on the SOR Newswire, and you know what? Check out some of those books in the We Read the Night section. There are some really good gifts in there, and there's so much more there. You got to go visit it and check it out. And we're back with Kelly Eyer, and Kelly stepped up to help us tonight because we had a guest that we had to make some changes with. And Kelly, before the break, we were kind of talking about the whole genetic engineering kind of thing, and I want to shift gears just a little bit here because there is a story out there about a biological plastic that's made from, well, it's made from fish leftovers. And the scary thing is, it won the James Dyson Award. And I believe he's the designer of the marketer of the Dyson vacuum cleaner, which is pretty darn fantastic because I have one.
Yeah. Well, I don't. My wife wanted the shark, so we got the shark. But yeah, no, the lady's name is Lucy Hughes, and she invented this biodegradable plastic called Marinatex, and it's essentially fish guts, just like the leftovers from a fish processing plant.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Well, I mean, people wear animal hides on their feet, and, I'm pretty sure there's still some of those old 80s rockers who are wearing it as really, really tight pants. I'm pretty sure Dave's got a pair hanging up in his closet somewhere.
Oh,
whenever he goes to Guns N' Roses shows.
You know he does. One of the things I've noticed about this plastic material is it biodegrades pretty quickly, which in terms of plastics is a good plus in some respects. But what about the uses for it? I mean, if I remember right, it degrades in like 6 weeks or so. Is that correct? I think it's
from what I'm reading, yeah. From what I've read in the story, yeah. I mean, it's only a one-time use.
Well, if it's biodegrading, a one-time use kind of thing is acceptable. But my interest, my concern, what I find curious about this is, well, first, it's essentially made, is it primarily the fish scales that they somehow convert into like this plastic material? I think that's what I read.
It's the skin and the scales, and it's the skin, the scales, seaweed, chitosan from shellfish shells, and the lady, Miss Hughes, used more than 100 different combinations before she found the correct one to use. But she did win the Dyson Award, which was roughly $40,000 to do more research, which in my book, that's not enough, but it's still something.
Well, what do you think and I'm sure they haven't quite figured it out yet, but, so let me ask it this way. Would you buy a Twinkie wrapped in this stuff?
Oh, gosh, no. I would assume that it smells like fish.
I would think that they could process that out, possibly, but, I wonder if it has such a short shelf life, I guess would be the way to put it. I mean, even though, let's say instead of biodegrading, it composts. So it breaks down in 6 weeks if you were to put it in the ground or throw it away or something like that. What kind of shelf life is it going to have sitting in your cabinet? I mean, it seems like a pretty limited use kind of plastic.
Yeah, I don't honestly think that it's like she would be using it to like wrap food or to hold like your cereal in the box or something like that. I think it's more like a plastic sheeting, something that somebody puts over windows while they're building a house, or, basically building materials that would be thrown away after
that's
certain
where,
amount of time.
That's where I think it begins to show its weakness, though, because if you were to use this on sheathing outside to cover a window, or even inside during construction where it's still exposed on one side, or, there are so many uses for plastic sheets that, I mean, this is a good idea. It sounds like a good idea. But if it biodegrades in 6 weeks, you certainly couldn't use this to, cover the outside of your windows for those who have the old farmhouses. In the winter, you couldn't use this to, cover stuff out in your yard or behind your garage or that kind of thing. Cover wood piles where it has to be stable for months at a time. So I wonder what kind of use this could potentially have.
Actually, I was wrong. It could be used as food holding bags, like the little and whatnot.
And again, I refer to, you wouldn't want to wrap your Twinkie in this, right?
No,
because I wouldn't.
But according to the story, she's making them in bags. And it says one single Atlantic codfish produces enough waste for 1,400 of these bags.
Okay. Well, you know what? If it were to replace the plastic grocery store bags, I mean, those are sort of a single-use kind of thing.
I'd put change in it, like spare change or pencils or something like that. But
hey, if
not
you've
Cheerios.
If you've got so much change around your house that you're putting it into bags, I need to come over because we're going to be really good friends.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm doing it the traditional Illinoisan way. I'm putting it in a Crown Royal bag.
Oh, that's low. That's terrible.
Yeah,
I can't believe you went there. And since you did, yeah. and since you did, I think it's time to bring out a Florida man story.
Ah, sweet.
The thing is that I'm looking at some of these, and there are words in them that I'm not comfortable saying on the air.
Yeah, I've found quite a few that I'm not really comfortable with saying on the air either.
It looks like I've lost the story because I've probably, gotten rid of it. But there was a story out of Florida this week about a man who assaulted his girlfriend because he believed that the chicken dinner she made him was inhabited or possessed by Satan.
Well, I mean, we are smack in the Bible Belt, and this is just an opinion. However, drugs were possibly involved, but then again, we are in the Bible Belt, so it could be just that.
If we're going to talk about Florida man, I want to ask you a question about Florida mom, because she seems to have dropped off the radar. And for those of you who don't remember, Florida mom were these women who, it seemed like for a while there, it was every week there was a fight in a Florida Chuck E. Cheese parking lot. And it was always these women with hosting or having like birthday parties for their children or something. Is that still a thing down there? Because Florida man's maybe getting a little bit of a bad rap here with us not mentioning Florida mom.
Well, I'm, and this is just an opinion, but I think Florida mom grew up into what everybody seems to be calling the Karen these days. The lady with the short hair with the long bangs coming down to her chin, walking into Walmart, asking to speak to the manager. I think that's what she turned into. She's fighting Walmart managers now.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah. She grew out of the Chuck E. Cheese fighting ring and decided to go take on Walmart.
There was a while there where I wanted to come to Florida just to see one of these fights in a Chuck E. Cheese parking lot, because it seemed like there were an awful lot of them. And we don't have a ton of Chuck E. Cheeses around here, but the one or two I've driven past, because I'm a grown man, I don't eat pizza at Chuck E. Cheese's. I've never seen really any cars there, much less fights. But this just seemed like it was so Florida.
They're honestly they're kind of losing the popularity down here now. It's more. I think people are too lazy with the pizza delivery and the diner dash, and they're more willing just to go fight a Walmart manager than anything else these days.
Oh, wonderful. Maybe we'll see some more Florida mom stories then popping up in some of your Walmarts down there.
Here's all I really have to do is read the headline, and it is just pure gold. We don't need to go any deeper into the story. And it's not a Florida man. However, it's a Florida cop claims Burger King put dirt on his food. Investigation reveals it was seasoning.
Well, nobody ever accused Burger King of being a fine dining establishment, so I could see confusing dirt and seasoning at Burger King.
Yeah, you make a good point.
Let's move away from Florida man and Florida mom for a little bit here. I mean, we can only milk those so long.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to. I really, really don't want to take Captain Shirk's job away from her, because I know she absolutely 100% loves giving Dave his Florida stories.
Well, and the best part is the headlines.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, I could just post up headlines of Florida man stories. Well, I actually try to send Captain Shirk a bunch of stories. So.
Well, I want to ask you about what your thoughts are on this. There was a murderer who was sentenced to life in prison, and while he was in prison, he died. Okay, he was sent to the hospital. He had a do not resuscitate order. He was clinically dead, and at some point he revived. He was revived. I'm not sure if somebody worked to revive him or he just naturally revived, but he was declared dead, and he actually petitioned a court to get out of prison, because he said that his sentence had been served, because he was sentenced to life in prison. He had died. That ended his sentence, and now he should be a free man. I mean, that's kind of like that's a little bit of a Florida kind of story. I mean, there's some absurdity there.
Well, it is, but the story actually comes out of Iowa. However, I mean, this I can actually see, not to, back a murderer, but I can actually see both sides of the story. But I mean, if you look at it, there was never a death certificate signed that he could physically give to the parole board or whoever he would have to hand it to. But I mean, Well, the guy, granted he died, but he still walked out of the hospital alive. Guy still committed the crime, but
I think one could argue that, granted, he was clinically dead. It was just for a short period of time, and he's still the same person. And I believe the court denied his request based on the concept that, well, to make the claim, he would have to be alive, and therefore, if he was alive, he was still due in prison.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the only way I could see this working is if he was dead long enough for them to throw him down in the morgue in the cooler, and then he was kicking on the door, and they had the death certificate signed and everything. So that's the only way that I could see that really working. But then again, I'm no expert, but
see, I don't
see this from both sides, honestly.
I don't think that would work, because he would still come back when he was alive, his life, when he had his life in his possession, for lack of better way of explaining it, that life was to be served in prison. It's not like he's coming back as a different person. He's still coming back as himself. He still has the sentence above his head. I just think it's interesting that somebody has the chutzpah to, and that's a totally Midwest word right there.
Oh gosh, yes.
To bring a case like this in front of a judge.
it amusing nonetheless.
Well,
it is a very, the gall of this guy to sit there and it's like, oh, well, I died, therefore I've already served my sentence. Well, no, you had enough life in you to come to us to tell us this, so boom, back in jail you go.
Well, when you lay out that argument that he died so he did serve his sentence, when you lay it out just like that, I can see how somebody would pursue that. I mean, at the very least, at least the precedent has been set. The next time this happens, there's a legal precedent for it. It's just, in some ways, interesting that maybe it's taken this long to happen.
Yeah, or maybe it's just taken, this long for a criminal to be intelligent enough to try and bring it up. But then again, now everybody and their brother who after this, who tries to do the same thing is, well, they're screwed because it was already passed by this court. No, you're still alive.
Well, you got to hand it to them, and our courts are filled with all kinds of strange and weird, frivolous, unnecessary cases. You got to. I mean, what else has the guy got to do? He's sitting in jail all day. Sure, why not? Why not try it? He gets an A for effort.
Yeah. Speaking of which,
of which, what?
I'm trying to find it right now for the headline, just real quick. Florida man wears F the police shirt to court, wins case.
How? Well,
that's just that's just basically it.
The thing is, and you have to be a little bit disrespectful to begin with to wear a shirt like that.
Yes. I mean, now I have not so many anymore. Back in my younger days, yeah, I did have a lot of the disrespectful shirts that I probably shouldn't have worn out in public, but now that I'm a little older, I got alien shirts and beard shirts and Star Trek shirts.
We only have about 2 minutes before we go to break, and the next couple of topics I want to talk about are probably a little bit heavy to start on with just a couple minutes.
Okay.
Let's give me a Florida man story. What's the recent craziest thing that's happened down there? And does Florida man fight with like Alabama man? Because we never hear about that.
No, Florida man. I think Florida man and Alabama man, I think they have like a mutual respect for each other because of Leonard Skinner. Because Leonard Skinner is from Middleburg, Florida, which is roughly 25-30 miles away from me.
Okay, and for those of you that don't believe that Alabama man exists, go look at some local Alabama papers online.
In my opinion, Alabama man is just Florida man on vacation.
That's terrible. First of all, why would Florida man go on vacation? He lives in Florida, and he's always doing weird and wacky stuff. It sounds like he's got a great existence.
You got to go pick up moonshine sometime.
Oh, you were just going everywhere tonight.
Oh, yeah. That's me, buddy. I'm all over the place. Yeah. Well, suffice it to say, I can confirm it now. I wasn't the Florida man story of the guy sitting in his underwear on somebody's roof.
Oh, that was classic.
Not to say that I've never sat on a roof in my underpants, but that was back in Illinois.
Well, you know what? That's the thing. Florida man gets a bad rap for that one because I think everybody has been sitting on their roof in their underwear at one time or another. I mean, I'll admit that I have.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you got a lot of two-story houses with roofs over the front porches. You just want to step out in the window in your underpants and howl at the moon.
It's a great way to see a meteor shower. And meteor showers are usually best visible at night.
I mean, how is that any different than John Tenney walking out in the woods butt naked?
Oh, let's not go there.
Oh, come on. I love John Tenney. He is awesome.
John Tenney is a fabulous guy. One day, he's over in Michigan. One day, I am going to go knock on his door. He doesn't know it, and I'll be arrested for stalking. But one day, I'm just going to show up at his place. But Kelly,
I'd love to do that too.
I'm going to get you to hold on here for a minute. We're going to go to our final break, and we will be We'll be right back on Spaced Out Radio or Spaced Out Sunday, whatever this is tonight.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Hey Spaced Out Radio fans, it's John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. We live in a world of mystery and uncertainty, which you guys know better than anyone. Sometimes you just need to be brought back down to earth for a while. One of the best ways to stay grounded is to help out with your fellow earthlings, and there's no more rewarding way to do that than to give through CHIVE Charities. Unlike many organizations, we don't necessarily aim to save the world, cure disease, or change the course of history. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from vans to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. CHIVE Charities is nothing without our donors, an amazing group of underdogs helping underdogs. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
this is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Are you addicted to the woo? Good. Me too. This is Dave Scott, and you can woo it up with me every Monday through Friday, starting at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, for 3 hours of great entertainment in the subjects you love. UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, intuition. Yes, we hit it all 5 days a week. Look for us at spacedoutradio.com, where together, my friends, we own the night.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for some great nightlife? The Moose Vancouver is the place to be. Catch a game on one of the big screens, or just come rock out to your favorite 80s and 90s hair bands. Great food starting at $6.95. The Moose Vancouver is open until 2 a.m. nightly. It's easy to find near the corner of Nelson and Granville. The Moose Vancouver is the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Welcome back to Spaced Out Sundays. I'm your host, Everett Thiemer. Thank you for spending your evening with us. Don't forget, if you've missed any part of the show, you can check out our archives, and they're always free at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. Just do us the favor and hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to some Bumblefoot, shopping in the vault, joining the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month, where you'll get a ton of extra features, bonus content. Dave is really working hard to develop some things for there, and it's going to be really special. And there's so much more on the new website. Before the break, we were kind of talking a little bit Florida man, Florida mom, kind of having a little bit of fun, killing some time. But to finish this off, I kind of want to go into a little bit of a serious story. And I've intentionally stayed away from the whole TSA or TTSA. TSA is a whole nother story. The whole TTSA UFO kind of thing. But there's a story that popped up a few days ago that there are some Navy officers saying that unknown individuals made them erase some of the evidence from the 2004 UFO encounters with the Tic Tac video and whatnot. And this kind of ties in, Kelly, to what we were talking about before with we kind of skewed from Black Eyed Kids to Men in Black. And this isn't exactly the case, but it's very odd for somebody to come onto a ship or approach somebody in the radar department and have them specifically erase some data. Isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, Fravor said that the video itself was recorded over, and now you're getting a not same story from Voorhis, the guy who was on the ship doing the radar recordings and whatnot. He's the one that was saying that two people showed up on a helicopter, and 20 minutes later, one of his COs told him to turn over data recordings, and then his chain of command told him to delete the recordings on the ship, and even told him to erase everything that's in the shop, even the blank tapes.
But Fravor's a pilot, and typically a pilot would have no concern about what goes on in any other operations of the ship. He's going to fly his mission. He's going to get debriefed. I mean, I'm sure he was aware that obviously on the ship data existed that would verify his account or whatnot, but he would typically have little to no concern over that.
No.
And it raises the question, why or how does he even know that it was accidentally overwritten? You know, wouldn't that be better coming from somebody who's in command of the radar operations versus the pilot?
Yes, he would. I mean, the pilots themselves, they have checklists that they got to go over, like pre-flight checklist, and then they got post-flight checklist and all this stuff. They make sure that everything that the 10 or 20 or so people, or how many ever it is, working on their plane to make sure that it's good to go on the flight, he makes sure that all that was taken care of. He really doesn't have any inkling or care or anything like that to know that anything was recorded over in his plane. That's all taken care of by somebody else.
Why do you think Fravor is speaking out about this? This is something that, I mean, obviously he's sort of one of the faces of the event, but this is something that he really doesn't have to speak out about. It might, in fact, if it's true that the data was accidentally erased or overwritten, it seems like that would be something that would be more believable coming from somebody in charge of that.
Well, well, this is where I'm talking about the contradictory stories. I mean, like I said, Fravor wouldn't have anything to do with that. The other person on the ship, Petty Officer Hughes, he was an aviation technician, which is one of the guys who were making sure that the plane is good to go. His claim was that his commanding officer and 2 unknown men asked him to turn over the hard drives from the plane. So maybe Fravor was mistaken, or maybe Fravor's not even, as per usual when it comes to like pilots and, commissioned and non-commissioned people in the military. They're not clashing together to figure out what story is true and getting stories straight. So he's just I think he's honestly just barking at the moon at this point.
Do we know if these individuals that they arrived on the ship by helicopter, and basically this seemed to be their only task, to make sure that those tapes were destroyed or erased? Do we know if these were military officials? Were they government officials? Obviously, they were somebody, if this took place, they were somebody with a higher pay grade than most of the people on that ship. But I think there's a big... say, go ahead.
I would say that they were government officials. I mean, they landed a helicopter on a plane. I mean, you're not going to get into a naval strike group on a helicopter without them knowing who you are, unless you want to get shot down.
Well, I mean, I guess I'm wondering, because I would see it as a big difference in the situation if these were military personnel, or if these were some form of government official outside the military, whether it be Congress people, aides to the president, something along those lines. I think there is an important differentiation between whether it was military or government.
That is honestly a good question. I wouldn't know, but I mean, you have a lot of like naval police or the NCIS that they don't dress in like any type of uniform other than like a jacket that says NCIS on it. Like, and that's pretty much like with all the military criminal investigation services. I mean, unless they're doing gate duty, then they're pretty much dressed in street clothes. So it could be them, it could be anybody, but I can tell you this much: they're not going to fly a helicopter within 50 miles of a naval strike group without the Navy knowing exactly who they are.
Do we know how much time elapsed from the collection of the evidence or Fravor's flight to the time that these people arrived? Was it... I read the story and I didn't see anything. I searched a little bit, but I don't know how, was it within minutes of him landing after experiencing this? Was it hours? Was it days?
It doesn't say. I don't know. I mean, obviously they were still out. I mean, they were still on ship and stuff. So obviously they were still doing their tour. So who knows? It doesn't specify it, like how much time it was in between them seeing all of this and those officials showing up.
Yeah. And I can understand if this were taking place a week after it happened, or even a few days after it happened, then maybe there's the potential that those tapes were erased, misplaced, something like that. I'm not sure I really buy the idea that they were destroyed or taped over, just because the military is very, what's the word I'm looking for? They are very detailed in the things that they keep. They don't, they don't typically, and of course, you'll find a dozen things to prove me wrong on this, but excuse me, but they don't typically lose things. At least not little
No.
things like this. They might lose, $22 million here and there. But something like this data, they probably wouldn't lose. And in my opinion, I'm not saying, I don't know what I think of Fravor's explanation, just because as a pilot, it's probably not something that he would concern himself with. But I think the idea of that time frame can help support or contradict this story a little bit.
Right. Well, I mean, this story is just being contradicted just by Fravor himself, because Voorhis and Hughes, they're both saying that people showed up, and like the only time that Voorhis said anything about erasing anything, they told him to erase everything that's in the shop, even the blank tapes. So tapes that he had to record everything that was still blank sitting in the shop, they wanted him to run them through there and erase everything.
See, that raises a little bit of a red flag with me. And I don't know enough about the story yet to completely form what I would consider a valid opinion. But the military, the Navy, any of the branches, they are not going to do something like this and basically just throw a blanket all over all of it and say, get rid of this, because there's so much other data in there that may not relate to this that they would still want. And it strikes me as odd as that there would be such a mass destruction or a mass erasing.
Well, I mean, that also begs the question, if everything got confiscated and erased, then how did these videos come out in the first place?
That's a good question. And isn't it more like the government? I mean, when we talk about, like we talked about earlier, the Men in Black, or you can say the deep state, any of the terms we apply to these agents, entities, people, they typically don't destroy so much as they collect and take, which seems like it would be the wiser thing, whatever side of the fence you're on about whether they exist or not. That seems like the more logical thing to have happened, or that would be the more logical thing to do, is to take it, collect it, because we hear these stories all the time about, somebody's camera or somebody's evidence or something was taken by somebody from the government because they wanted to study it.
Right. And like, I mean, I honestly, maybe it wasn't, Men in Black that showed up. Maybe it was like government officials, because, I mean, that just begs the question. How did this, I mean, if everything was taken and deleted on that entire strike group, which it wasn't just one ship, it was multiple ships. I think the only one that didn't get a radar reading was the subs or the sub that was in the strike group. Excuse me, but it had to have not got completely erased, or TTSA would not have been able to get their hands on what we have.
Well, what we have though is from the cameras on the plane. If they are if they were destroying radar data, things like that we could still have the videotapes from the planes. Why they would destroy one and not the other is an interesting question. Maybe it has to do with, what we see on the tapes is typically or basically one object, UFO, UAP, whatever you want to call it. And there were many discussions and talks about how these were in almost like fleets, and that was picked up on the radar.
Maybe, we don't have, because we don't have any of those radar videos or anything like that. All we got is the Tic Tac video and the gimbal, which was actually, it kind of freaked my wife out when I explained it to her, but it was actually filmed off the coast of Jacksonville.
Go ahead.
And I don't know, maybe the government got a hold of it, had them delete everything on the ships so we wouldn't see what exactly was on the radar. Maybe all that is edited material. Maybe that's just what the Navy and the government wanted to show us.
You know, I'll put on my tinfoil hat here for a minute and say this. What if it is some part of the disclosure plan, that the idea that we were to see these videos of single craft was important in that plan, and it was supposed to be released, but they did not want the idea of there being fleets of these out there. The one way to hide that would be to destroy this data.
Right. Yeah, because what everybody, we've pretty much been having, like I said, the Tic Tac, the Go Fast, and the gimbal shoved down our throats. But what everybody wanted to see was what Voorhees was seeing on his screen, which was the fleet.
And that's something we haven't seen at all.
No, because they either took the tapes and had him delete it down, erase everything. And you got, like I said, then once the government got a hold of it, we don't really know what they saw on there. And then obviously once TTSA got it and put it on unidentified, and they go through all their editing processes and stuff to make everything look more exciting than just a little white dot flying down the road.
Well, it is interesting that they talked so much about these fleets and multiple aircraft, but we only see the one, which, and I understand the focus of the camera, and I understand a lot of the aspects of this, but I do find it interesting that there isn't really even a sign of anything other than that one.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
let me ask you.
To me, that's.
Go ahead.
To me, the more interesting one to see would be what Voorhees collected, would be what he was seeing on his radar screen. I mean, it probably wouldn't be all that exciting, but yeah, to crank the woo up a little bit. Yeah, the government is just showing us what we want to see.
We'll crank the woo up.
They're giving us just a little taste.
We'll crank the woo up just a little bit here, because maybe it didn't fit into whatever plan somebody has. And maybe we were never supposed to know that there was a fleet. Maybe we were supposed to just know that there were, this one video or this group of videos, but maybe we weren't supposed to know about the fleet. And somehow that got leaked out. Because if nobody talks about the fleet and the data is gone, then all we really have is some videos of single craft.
Yep.
And you know what? That's maybe a little bit different. That's a different scenario than what's playing out now with the idea that there had been fleets. And we're almost out of time, but I wanted to ask you this quick about this. Do we know, or has anybody talked about, is there a record of a helicopter or a plane landing and people coming on the ship around the time that these were supposed to be confiscated?
It's only hearsay. It's only what Voorhees and Hughes was saying. It's only from those two non-officers, basically. They were, both. I think they were both petty officers, if I'm correct. But that's the only two that says that helicopter flew in, 2 men got off, walked with their COs to them to ask them to give them the items. So that's basically the only story we're getting, because Fravor's not saying anything about it. Obviously, he said a completely different story than what those 2 guys were saying. So,
right, Kelly, I hate to say it, but we are actually out of time.
Oh my gosh, that went by so quickly.
It kind of did, and I want to say thank you so much for stepping in, because, well, we were in a bit of a pickle, and this was a lot of fun. So it was. Thank you for having me. So, well, I want to say thank you so much again, and we've got Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. A special thank you to everyone listening in at home, in your cars, at work, in our chat rooms, and wherever you may be. Remember, this show is copywritten by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thanks for sharing your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night.